that place because 11 tribes are supporting Absalom and he has only the support of Judah. Okay, so he flees from there. And after he flees from his kingdom, he appoints 3 people out of 3 peoples, and he will give 1/3 of the army to 3 of them. Okay, and one of them is Joab. Okay, so what happens is when Absalom hears that father flew away from the kingdom, he comes back to Jerusalem. He comes back and he occupies his father's kingdom. When he is there, he wants to war with his father and his army. And when in the process, what happens is Absalom's hair gets stuck to the branch. All of us know the story. And when this happens, David requests the 3 of them, whom he appointed as commanders for the army, he tells them, spare my young one. That is, spare my son Absalom. Okay? But what happens is when Absalom's hair gets stuck to the branch, some people get this message to Joab. And Joab, without even bothering that he's the son of the king, and without even bothering that David has instructed him, he takes 3 arrows and pierces them right into the heart of Absalom. Okay? The next part is when David was mourning about Absalom, he was crying, about his son. Joab goes into his house. Now, there are many verses here, but I would just like to read one verse here. It says, you love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that the commanders and their men mean nothing to you. See the words Joab used to King David. Okay, he was very straightforward, he was very rude, and he didn't care about that he's a king. He told him very straight that you're not bothered about us. See, what are you doing? And he tells King David, go now and sit outside, where he usually sits. And then King David immediately listens to him and he goes. Okay, that is another story about this person. Now, King David thought Absalom is dead, the problem is over. But there is another problem. The problem with this person called Sheba. Okay, this person feels like, Absalom, who is the son of David, tried to conquer the kingdom. I am the descendant of Saul. He is the descendant of King Saul. And he feels the throne should be ours. It should belong to my family. So what he does is he starts to find an army for himself. And when he's trying to find an army for himself, what does King David do? He tries to find this person, Sheba, and wants to kill him. But what happens is he sends one person called Amasa. Amasa is sent by King David to find the people so that he can kill Sheba. But what happens is Amasa tarries for a long time. He does not do his duty on time. And so what happens is they were called again. He takes too long and this person runs away from there. And when Joab comes to know about it, now Joab and Amasa are cousins. Okay, when he comes to know about it and when they come face to face, Joab goes and hugs him. The verse says he goes and hugs him and he kisses him, and then with the sword that he has in his hand, kills Amasa. There were 2 reasons why he killed him. Because Amasa was taking his position. One reason is he's taking his position. Another reason is because of a conflict in the family. Mercilessly, he kills him. The Bible says that he tore his stomach in such a way that the whole bowels of this thing came out and he died on the spot. And I believe they didn't even care for his body. So this is the kind of a man is Joab. So we see that Joab is a man of war, commander of King David. He did not spare David's own son. He did not spare Amasa, who is his brother or cousin. Okay, he is a very fiery soldier. He shed some innocent blood. Joab was vengeful and bloodthirsty commander of Israel. These are the various names we can call Joab. Now comes our story, which is found in 2 Samuel 20:14. Once again, I won't read the text because of time short. You can read this chapter for yourself. You can understand this. This whole stories that I'm telling you are mostly from 2 Samuel. I started from chapter 15. It goes on till 20. Okay, so what happens is, now the job of Joab is to go and find Sheba. King wanted Sheba. So they come to know that Sheba was hiding in a place called Abel. So Joab goes to the city of Abel. This city is surrounded with a wall. Okay? And Joab and his whole army goes to this city. And Joab, as he reaches the city, he starts to siege it. He wants to immediately attack the people of Abel. Okay? And maybe because of the sounds that they heard, people would have thought there is something happening around. They would have gone on the wall and they would have seen what is happening. And when they saw Joab coming towards them. Okay? And when this thing was happening, okay, Joab was ready to attack. You know, the Bible says that Joab was immediately tried to siege the city of Abel. And guess what? This lady a woman of Abel, she sticks her head out from the wall, or maybe she's on top of the wall, you know. Immediately, as soon as she hears this thing happening outside, she puts her head out. And verse 16 says, "Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say I pray, you unto Joab, come here near hither, that I may speak with thee." Two things that I want you to understand here. This woman knows who is Joab. Okay? She even recognized who is Joab. She speaks directly to him and she says, "Come here." Do you think the city of Abel did not have men? They did have men in the city. You know, if it was, you know, the questions that I asked you, the men and the woman, if it was happening around the campus, if we know that this is what is happening around the campus, somebody came to siege the campus, what would we all do? We all just said we would hide, or we would hide our women and our children. Okay? When the people of the city of Abel heard it, I'm sure they would have tried to hide their families, or they would have tried to safeguard themselves. But this woman, instead of running away from there and trying to safeguard herself, she peeps out, or she puts her head out and she shouts towards Joab saying, "Come here, I want to talk to you." Let's see the next verse. And it says, "When he was come near unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab?" Okay, she knows who's Joab, but now again she asks, "Art thou Joab?" And he answered, "I am he." Then she said unto him, "Hear the words of thine handmaid." And he answered, "I do hear." Verse 18. Then she spake, saying, They were wont to speak in old times, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel, and so ended the matter. This verse exactly means that in Deuteronomy, the counsel that is given to the Israelites is, when they go for a war, they're supposed to first give the chance to the people wherever they went for a war. Do you want to make peace with us? Or do you want to really go for a war? And the people would say, or the country people would say, we want to go for a war, or would they'll say we want to go for a peace. If they say we want to go for a peace, that means they can Israelites can take these people as slaves, and they also can take over the country, the city. But here Joab did not ask this question. So this woman reminds him about this particular thing that is found in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 10, 11, 12, and 13. So she asks this question to Joab. Don't you believe that? Then she says in verse 19, I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Thou seekest to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? Okay, a beautiful question she asks Joab. And Joab answers in verse 20. And Joab answered and said, far be it from me, that I should swallow up to or destroy. Verse 21. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. Okay? I will read the rest of the verse in a minute. He asks for Sheba. Okay? Spontaneous reply by the woman. She says, and the woman said unto Joab, behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. Spontaneous reply. No thinking, no taking time, nothing. She immediately replies. And then verse 21. Then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom. Okay, note that word. She went into all the people in what? Her wisdom. And they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. Okay, when she walked in wisdom, she was able to convince these people, and they not only killed him, but the head was also cast, and he blew a trumpet. Who is this? Joab blew a trumpet, and they retired from the city. So what did this woman do? Okay, what did she do for the city, for the whole city? She saved the whole city, right? If she did not react so quickly, the city would have been destroyed. How long would have Joab planned to kill Uriah when king asked him to do? Not long. King asked him, he immediately sent. How long did he take to kill Amasa? As soon as he saw him, he went, hugged him, kissed him, and he killed him. How long did it take for him to kill Absalom, his King David's son? How long did it take to kill him? As soon as he heard that, he's hanging to the tree, he went and pierced 3 arrows right into his heart. How long it would have taken for Joab to kill the woman of Abel? What are the various lessons that we can learn from this story? The verse claims that she is a wise woman, and in her wisdom she went to meet the men of that place. She called all of them. When we had to decide something, even if there are 2-3 people, just a family discussion, maybe deciding on going for a short trip or something like that, each of us will have some opinions or the other. Okay? And the discussion can go from 5 minutes to days sometimes. Unable to decide what to do. So, but this lady, because she walked in her wisdom, she was able to convince these people, and immediately she was able to do what she's supposed to do. Her wisdom was active. Okay? Her wisdom was active. and her wisdom was spontaneous. She knows what's going to happen, and she did not take time to think. So many of us to take a decision, we think a lot. But at that moment, she had to react immediately, because otherwise it wouldn't have taken much time for Joab and his army to destroy the city. Then she's a woman of courage. Okay? No man in that city had that much courage as this woman had. No man in that city had that much courage as this woman had. Okay? And for you to get that kind of courage, you should be very godly. Until and unless we are godly, as women or men, we cannot get that much courage. The next point, she is a woman of peace. We read just now in verse 19, she says, I am a woman peaceable and faithful. She is a woman of peace. She loved to be peace. She loved to have peace. How many of us women especially think of peace when we interact with people, inside or outside, with our family or anywhere else? Okay? How many of us think about peace instead of arguing? Okay? In any given situation, when there is a situation, how do we handle it? If there is some conflict between two people, do we encourage them to do it more, or do we go peaceably? Especially women, we should be very peaceful and also share peace with others. Okay? War and arguments do not bring peace. Okay, but many times we hear in the news, there is such a war going on because America or some other country is trying to find peace because of that nation being very rude. But wars and arguments do not bring peace. Okay, she's a woman of peace. Then she's a woman who had faith. She walked in faith. Okay? Many of us have faith in God, but how many of us practice that faith? I used to always tell my mother this. She used to pray and send us, especially after my sister passed away. A few years after that, she was very much in pain. So she would always send us with a prayer, but if you are little late, she used to stand there near that gate. Just 5-10 minutes late, she used to stand there near the gate, and I used to come home and tell, Mama, you prayed, right? You sent us with prayer. Where is your faith? And then she used to say, you naughty girl, and she used to come to hit me and has to run away. Okay? Sometimes it so happens that it's so difficult to exercise the faith that we have. To use it, to practice it, it is very difficult. But this woman, she not only had faith, she practiced it. Just imagine sticking out her head from nowhere when Joab, such a strong and fiery person, is standing there challenging and trying to destroy the city. How angry and how furious he must have been. But she sticks her head out and she says, are you Joab? Come here, I want to talk to you. Can any of us do that? I'm sure I'm not that kind of a person. Definitely not. Okay, but her faith is in practice, and her faith was in action. She immediately responded spontaneously, and she immediately spoke to Joab even before he struck the wall down. And then she is a woman of influence. She is a woman of influence. Okay, she found a solution immediately. How could she find a solution immediately? Unless a person with influence, suppose one of our officers or anybody comes who's much higher than us, comes and asks us to do something. Okay, for example, take your parents. They're influential people in the family. If they ask you to do something, we immediately do. Why? Because they are influential people. She is also an influential person as a woman. As soon as she spoke words of wisdom to the men, she was able to convince them. And immediately they killed. I don't know how long Joab would have had patience waiting for Sheba's head to be thrown, because he is a man who's very furious. Okay, so I don't know how long he waited. The Bible does not record anything about, but I'm sure it was not long for Joab's patience to go. Okay, they did it very fast. And the last character of this lady is, she's a woman who is selfless. If she was selfish, I'm sure she would have tried to save herself, like each of us would have done. Okay, we would have gone find a nice safe place. We'd have thought, okay, this is my safest place, I will hide here. No, she was not at all selfish. Okay, she did not take her husband and children and family members, or as soon as that word spread that Joab is outside trying to destroy the city, she did not. And her wisdom also would have told her, Joab will find you anywhere you are, so you better encounter him instead of hiding yourself. So her wisdom also helped her not to be selfish. And she went ahead, she showed herself, she spoke to Joab and found peace for her city. I don't know how many of us have these characters in our lives. Can any of you tell what are the characters we just learned about this woman of Abel? 6 characters we spoke about. Yes, selfless. She had peace. She is a woman of wisdom. She is a woman of faith. Courageous. Faith is already over. Woman of faith. She was an influential woman. Okay, she was a woman of influence. How many of these characters do we women have in ours today? I don't know how many of you have. I'm sure I do not have all of them, definitely. Some of them I'm still trying to practice. Courage is something that, we women think that is the last thing we deserve or have. We women try to say, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that. Since I'm a woman, I have the right to be scared of. That is how we think. Okay? And being in a place where men have the dominance over women, we say, how do I influence men? Okay? Women, we claim ourselves to have faith, but we do not practice, we do not have an active faith. And women, we do not have wisdom. Where do we get wisdom? We get it only from God. Okay, there is a lot of difference between wisdom and intelligence. God only can give us wisdom. I'll tell you a small example. I know it's almost time. Small example. If you go to a doctor and ask a doctor whether smoking is injurious to health or not, what would he say? Will he say, no, you can smoke? He can even point out which organ in your body will get spoiled first, which one will get affectedness, how it affects, everything. He has a lot of explanation that he can do. Have you seen any doctor smoking? Okay, that is not wisdom. That is only intellectual. Okay, wisdom means you do not do what you know you're not supposed to do. As Adventists, we know the doctrines very well. We know everything. This is not only for women, for the men also. But how many of us use our wisdom and keep the Bible as it is told to us? None of us. So let us think about this woman of Abel. No name is mentioned, Her background is not mentioned. She's so-and-so daughter. Nothing about her is mentioned. But one thing is, they said that she's from the place called Abel. All of us are from Hyderabad, and some of us are from various places of India. How are we influencing people around us, people where we work, people where we stay, people with whom we are in our church? What are we doing? What is the kind of influence we are creating? What is the kind of faith we are showing? What is the kind of wisdom that each of us have to exercise in our daily lives? May this thought be in our minds as we spend the remaining Sabbath, and may God enlighten us to be much closer to Him as the days go by. Thank you.
At this time, we'll be favored by a special number by the women of this church. This is also considered the closing song, at the time of which the AY expense offering will be collected, after which the closing prayer will be offered by Mrs. Shanti Ashok.
We, the women of the church, desire to sing a Telugu song, Nee Chetito Nannu Pattuko. The meaning of the song is, hold me with your hand and design me, in essentially expressing a plea to be guided and supported by God, a prayer asking for God's protection and presence in a person's life. It signifies a deep reliance and trust in the divine power to lead through challenges.
నీ చేతితో నన్ను పట్టుకో, నీ ఆత్మతో నన్ను నడుపు. శిల్పి చేతిలో శిలను నేను, అనుక్షణము అనుక్షణము నన్ను చెక్కుము. నీ చేతితో నన్ను పట్టుకో, నీ ఆత్మతో నన్ను నడుపు. శిల్పి చేతిలో శిలను నేను, అనుక్షణము నన్ను చెక్కుము. శిల్పి చేతిలో శిలను నేను, అనుక్షణము నన్ను చెక్కుము. అంధకార లోయలోన సంచరించిన భయము లేదు, నీ వాక్యం శక్తి గలది, నా త్రోవకు నిత్య వెలుగు. నీ వాక్యం శక్తి గలది, నా త్రోవకు నిత్య వెలుగు. నీ చేతితో నన్ను పట్టుకో, నీ ఆత్మతో నన్ను నడుపు. శిల్పి చేతిలో శిలను నేను, అనుక్షణము నన్ను చెక్కుము. ఘోర పాపిని నేను తండ్రి, పాప ఊబిలో పడియుంటిని. లేవనెత్తుము
లేచి నిలబడితే అందరము ప్రార్థన చేసుకుంటాం. స్తోత్రము స్తోత్రము దయగల నాయన కృపగల దేవ, మీ బంగారు పాదాలకి వందనాలు నాయన. వారమంతయు నాయన మీ రెక్కల చాటున భద్రపరుచుకుని నాయన మాకు మరి ఒక వారాన్నైనా దయచేసినందుకు వందనాలు నాయన. ప్రభువా ఇదిగో నాయన స్త్రీలుగా అందరము కూడినైనా ప్రభువా మిమ్మల్ని ఆరాధించుకోవటానికైనా మాకు ఈ సమయం అనుగ్రహించినందుకు వందనాలు నాయన. నీ ప్రియ బిడ్డలను చెప్పిన వాక్యానికై వందనాలు నాయన. మేమునైనా వాక్యానుసారంగా జీవించుకోవటానికైనా నీ కృప దయచేయమని అడుగుచున్నాను. ఇక్కడ తల వంచిన ప్రతి ఒక్క బిడ్డల్ని నైనా దీవించి ఆశీర్వదించండి నాయన. ఇంకాను దేవా ఆన్లైన్లో చూస్తున్న బిడ్డలను కూడా దీవించి ఆశీర్వదించండి ఆయన. మా సంఘంలో ఎవరైనా అనారోగ్యంతో బాధపడుతుంటే దేవా మీ గాయపడిన హస్తం చేత ముట్టి స్వస్థపరచమని దీనిరాలైనా ప్రార్థన ఆలకించమని నజరేడైన యేసు నామముతో బ్రతిలాచి వేడుకుంటున్నాను తండ్రి.
On behalf of the AY department, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and everyone who has taken part in today's Vespers program and for making it such a wonderful program. And during the week, when I was approaching each and everyone for asking them to take part for the Vespers, it was 100% yes. Everybody I've approached said yes. I didn't have, for one particular part, I didn't have to ask 2 or 3 people and then again check. So thank you all for making this program a successful one, and I'm sure you will continue to support the church in a similar way because we've got a long way to go. Thank you and have a blessed Sabbath.